Hi, Katie. Catherine's mom again, back with Chapter 4 of The Ghosts of Tupelo Landing. This chapter is called Ghost in the Fine Print. "What?" Miss Lana cried as the crowd burst into applause. She bowed gracefully twice and then rushed Buddha's stage. "Congrats, ladies," Buddha said, rolling a speaker to the edge of the stage as the crowd jostled away, talking and laughing. "You got a real bargain." "Yes," she said, twirling her parasol, "but for a moment I thought you said we have an actual ghost in the fine print. Imagine." Buddha nodded toward a stack of papers. "That's right," he said, and her smile wilted. "The law says you got to list ghosts strong enough to affect the property value. Same as a leaky roof, which you also got. The place has changed hands several times over the years, and your ghost got listed along the way. As you may recall, I talked about the fine print, including the ghost, before we got started. Sign here." Miss Lana shot a look at Ratface, who now stood chatting with Flick Crenshaw. Strong enough to affect the property value? "But as soon as she's gone, we intend to resell the inn to someone nice." "There's no such thing as ghost," Grandmother Miss Lacey said firmly, handing Buddha her pen. "Here you are, dear. Just X that bit out." "Sorry," he said, winding a cord. "I could lose my license." Miss Lana snapped her parasol closed and slammed it against the speaker. A bad sign. "For heaven's sake," she said through clenched teeth, "who in her right mind would buy a ghost?" I clamped my hand over Dale's mouth. "Rhetorical," I whispered. A rhetorical question is one that does not expect an answer. And Mo has to tell Dale when somebody has asked a rhetorical question so he won't try and answer it. Dale's a sucker for rhetorical questions, especially Miss Lana's. I slipped a clue pad from my pocket. "The name of the alleged ghost?" Buddha shrugged. "Fine print doesn't say. Maybe you can figure it out." He nudged the papers toward Miss Lana. "No refunds." I slapped my clue pad closed. "Dale and I will be in our mobile crime unit if you need us," I said, very professional. Dale's blue eyes flew open. "The Buick," I whispered. I marched into the crowd, chin up and eyes straight ahead the way the Colonel taught me. Sal, in her red Piggly Wiggly sunglasses, waved at Dale. He gave her an absent smile as Attila ambushed by us by her mom's Cadillac. "Interesting buy, Moron," she said, "but I suppose a ghost friend would be nice for you. Someone like your long-lost mother. Not quite here, not quite there." "You leave my upstream mother out of this, Attila." She looked across the crowd and did a double take. "Who's that?" she asked, her voice shifting gears. I followed her gaze. Harm Crenshaw skulked by the refreshment wagon. "Anna," Attila's mother said, mincing up. "We don't mingle with the unsavory. Hurry, dear. You'll be late for voice." Attila's the only kid in rising 6th grade who takes voice. It doesn't help her all that much. She hopped in the car, her eyes still on Harm Crenshaw. The Cadillac oozed through the crowd. "Did she just call us unsavory?" Dale asked, his voice sharp. "Because that's rude." He lowered his voice. "What does it mean exactly?" "It means we stink." "Look," I said. Flick Crenshaw had cornered Harm against a picnic table. As Flick talked, Harm's face went thunderous as an August storm. "Looks interesting," I said, darting through the crowd. We rocked to a halt behind a large, sweet-smelling woman in a flowered dress. I peeped around her sausage-like arm as Flick thumped his finger against Harm's chest. "You'll do what I say," Flick growled. "But why?" Harm demanded, his voice cracking. "It's not fair." "Because I said so. Because I make the money. Because you're cramping my style." "What style?" Harm muttered as Flick turned and pushed through the crowd. He climbed in his red sports car and roared away. Harm's eyes met mine and he blushed. "What are you gawking at, ghost girl?" Ghost girl, great. "Not much," I said, looking him up and down. With that, I stalked through the crowd and climbed into the Buick. Dale helped Queen Elizabeth into the seat between us. Miss Lana stormed up. She swung into the passenger seat, breathing ragged as torn construction paper, and slammed the door. "As God is my witness, I never meant to buy a ghost," she said. Grandmother Miss Lacey slipped behind the wheel. "We didn't buy a ghost, we bought an inn," she corrected. "That ridiculous ghost story doesn't make a whit of difference, except that we plan to resell the inn, and now we possibly can't." Miss Lana adjusted her wig. "Everyone breathe," she gasped. "We simply need a plan B." Miss Lana thrives on plan B. So do I. In fact, my entire life is one big fat plan B. The inn is still a lovely purchase. The fact that there's a pedigreed poltergeist dwelling within is, well... I pictured myself walking into 6th grade the next day. "A paranormal disaster," I said. Dale shot me a sympathy look and rummaged in his snack pocket. "Accidental ghost purchase. Your social life is certified roadkill," he said. "Peanuts, anyone?" Miss Lana held out her hand. "Very well," she said as he shook peanuts into her palm. "We've hit uncharted rapids on the river of life. Don't panic, don't stand up in the boat, and not a word of this to the Colonel until our plan B is in place." The Colonel. I grinned. "Miss Lana," I said, "I know the Colonel hates to admit it, but he is an attorney. If anybody can get you out of the print, it's him." "Of course," she said, her face brightening. "How could I have forgotten?" "Rhetorical?" Dale whispered, and I nodded. "The Colonel will straighten this out in a jiffy," she said. "We just need to broach the subject artfully." "And quickly," Grandmother Miss Lacey said, cranking the Buick. "The entire town will head to the cafe to see how he takes our news." We fishtailed across the meadow and headed for town. Moments later, Dale held the door as we filed into the empty cafe like a lineup of nervous suspects. Like Lavender, Dale has manners. That's thanks to Miss Rose, not his daddy. "Hey, Colonel," I said. He peeked up from behind the coffee maker. "Hello, soldier. Your report?" "The auction was exciting," I said, which was true. Miss Lana smiled. "Auctions are so electrifying." Suspicion shot across his rugged face. "What did you buy?" Dale jumped like somebody bit him, and Grandmother Miss Lacey peeled away to pour a glass of water. "An umbrella stand," Miss Lana replied. "It's in the Buick." The Colonel relaxed. "Good. I thought we might offer tuna salad sandwiches for lunch today with your practically organic soup." "Perfect," she said, sailing toward the kitchen. "I'll get the blue plates. They're so soothing. And while I'm thinking about it, I bought the inn. Would you like sandwiches on white or whole wheat?" "What?" the Colonel asked, wheeling to face her. Poor Colonel. "She said white or whole wheat," I said. "Lana, you bought that ramshackle hotel? Have you lost your mind? It's over 100 years old. The roof leaks. The windows are busted. The wiring's shot. And who would stay there? Nobody comes to Tupelo Landing. Not on purpose, anyway." She shrugged. "Life takes unexpected turns, mon cher," which means my dear in French. Miss Lana likes to pretend she's French. She says it helps her metabolize stress. "How much?" the Colonel demanded, his brown eyes wide. $210,000 and change." "A bargain, since she has a partner," Grandmother Miss Lacey added. "Me." The Colonel sank into a chair, the vein on his forehead bulging. He took 3 deep breaths, and I knew he was counting to 20, which is what he tells me to do when counting to 10 won't cover it. The cafe door flew open. Mayor Little and the Azalea women strolled in laughing. "You people are a gold-plated hoot," Mayor Little said, beaming at us. "Congratulations. Historic inn, spring house, pavilion. I can't wait to see what you do with the ghost." "Ghost!" the colonel barked. "The colonel doesn't believe in ghosts," I said. "Neither do Miss Lana and Grandmother Miss Lacey." The Azalea women turned to the colonel, their eyes glinting. He studied the parking lot as 4 cars and a pickup piled in, spilling auction goers toward the door. Then he picked up a cloth and attacked a non-existent spot on the counter. His lips weren't moving, but I knew he was still counting. "I'll admit a historic inn is a risk," he finally said, giving the mayor a gray-lipped smile. To me, Miss Lana looked worried. "But Lana and Miss Thornton are astute businesswomen. I trust their instinct. As for the ghost story," he swallowed hard, "we're regarding it as a public relations boon. Favor." Miss Lana smiled. "That's right," she said. "People will come from the ends of the earth to visit our fake ghost. I'll handle the PR myself." As she drifted toward the kitchen, I slipped my arm around the colonel's thin waist. The colonel is a genius. He's also a sure bet in a fight. That night, I settled into bed and plucked the Piggly Wiggly Chronicles, Volume 6, off my bedside table. That's Moe's continuing diary. I started the Chronicles in kindergarten. Volume 1 features drawings of Attila Celeste covered in mud. Later volumes hold the clues to my life story and letters to the upstream mother who lost me in a flood the day I was born. I used to think she would find me. Now I know she won't. I write anyway, mostly to focus my thoughts. Dear upstream mother, how are you? Today, Miss Lana accidentally bought a haunted inn. After our lunch rush, Miss Lana, the colonel, and Grandmother Miss Lacey drove over to scout the place. The colonel came home pale. Miss Lana and Grandmother Miss Lacey returned stiff and fake cheerful, like plastic daisies at Christmas time. We all hoped the colonel could get Miss Lana out of the contract, but he can't. He says Buddha Jackson may appear to have the brains of a rutabaga, but his contract has less wiggle room than a straitjacket. Tomorrow's the first day of school. The ghost news is all over town. My life can't get no worse than this. Mo. And that's the end of chapter 4.